A quick look into day three of the AFCON 2021. On paper, there was a big match, Nigeria versus Egypt, and in reality, it turned out to be really a big match. One that would make one say officially the tournament has started. I think that match was bigger than the Cameroon match. It was bigger than the Algerian match, by far bigger than the Senegal Zimbabwe game. It ended 1-0. In favor of Nigeria, a result that some would have expected, a result that others, got others by surprise. But at the end of the day, I think the football was enjoyable because I think both teams came to play. The Nigerians made their intentions clear from the first whistle. The Egyptians were a bit slow in the first half, didn't really maybe apply themselves so much, but they went for it in the second half, which made it very, very interesting. So there was an indication of intent from both teams, and I think both teams went for it really. And then I saw a number of tactical variations, which made the match very, very interesting. You look at Nigeria. Nigeria played in 1-4-4-2, a system that has been relied on for a long time now. I think in another video I spoke about the 4-4-2, its pros, its cons, and a few reasons as to why it is a preferred formation. Nigeria went for it yesterday, and what I saw from what they did is that from the onset they really pressed the Egyptians very high. They pressed very high, even when they could not win the ball up the field. In all other areas of the field, I think the pressing was at its highest. Basically, they were trying to deny the Egyptians any space to play in. I think they realized early enough that once they allow them to play, then they are going to give them trouble. So they pressed them. Basically, they pressed them off the pitch. Really, there were no half spaces that you could talk about. There was no space in between the lines that they could use. So basically, it was high pressing everywhere. That is, I think, on the one of the things on the defensive side. The other thing that they did was that there was a lot of compactness, both horizontal and vertical compactness, if you like. What that means is that there were the space in between the players, the space in between the banks of maybe the back four and the four in the middle, and maybe the two that are up front. The space was very limited. There was very little space in which the Egyptians could operate in. The key thing is that when you're playing against a team that has players that have very good technical ability, which the Egyptians have, is that you have to deny them both space and time on the ball. If you are not able to deny them the space, at least deny them the time. If you have managed to do both, then really you are setting up yourselves for a win, and that's what Nigerians did. They denied them the space to work in, and also they denied them the time to work on by the pressing and the compactness that was there. You also saw a lot of coordination from the Nigerians. It looked like a very well-oiled machine from the Nigerians, especially on the defensive side, and that is why a guy like Salah was foiled. Trezeguet couldn't really have space in which to operate in. They made the Egyptians look like an ordinary side. On the offensive side, the Nigerians played up the pitch. Now, this is both on the offensive and on the defensive. They played up the pitch. Remember earlier on I said that they were pressing very high. Usually when you're going to press high, it means you also have to play a high line. Usually that's when it works well. As long as you have the players that have the ability to do that, then you can do that, and that's exactly what they did. Now when you're playing high up the pitch on the offensive side, it increases the chances of you getting into the opposition box, first of all. That is number one. Number two, it also increases your chances of you creating a lot of chances. Number three, it also increases your chances of you scoring. You saw from the first half, they created a lot of opportunities. Most of the time on the left was really terrorizing the Egyptian defenders. You saw a lot of coordination play between Kelechi Iheanacho and Aoni Tayo. whichever way you want to look at it, you saw the number of chances that they created, chiefly because they played high up the pitch, which is the opposite of what the Egyptians did. I'll look at it a bit later on. So on the Nigerian side, they played high up the pitch, increasing their chances of creating chances. First of all, increasing their chances of getting into the opposition box, as well as increasing their chances of actually shooting at goal. If you look at the statistics of the match, you'll see that they actually had a lot of attempts and a lot of forays into the opposition box. The other thing that Nigeria did on the attacking side is that they implemented or applied the basics of the basic principles of attack. I spoke about Moses Simon earlier on. What did he offer? First of all, you have to use the width quite well. It's actually one of the principles of attack. You need to use the width very well. You cannot change the dimensions of the pitch, but within what you do, you are able to make it big, expand it or compress it depending on what you are trying to do at a particular time. So Moses Simon, in a lot of occasions, you saw that he pretty much hugged the touchline, if you like. He was playing the furthest on the left side, just playing by the line. What that does is that it helps you pull defenders to your side. Number one. Number two, it helps you create a lot of space within which your strikers can operate. You've heard of strikers running the channel. So once your winger moves to the far end, there's a lot of space within which a striker can move to also pull a number of defenders. And as he pulls those defenders, you have a lot of inroads that can be made through through the middle. You saw that happening a lot of times yesterday. The other thing apart from width that Nigerians tried to do, especially through Moses himself, was a lot of penetration. Penetration is one of the principles of attack as well. At times, what you need is just the individual brilliance that is going to take in players, and that is exactly what he offered. There was a very direct approach from him on that side of the pitch. The other thing which he did was that he tried to eliminate numbers. If you remember, at most of the times, it was being policed by 2 to 3 players. So it tells you that they were also trying to use that side of the pitch or that aspect of the attack to try and get the most out of that match. So all things considered, I think Nigeria looked tactically astute. They knew what they wanted to get out of that match, and it was actually a surprise that they ended up only scoring 1 goal. Looking at the number of chances that they created and the number of opportunities that could have come from what they were doing. On the additionally for the Nigerians, what they did well was to ensure that Salah did not get a lot of chance and a lot of time on the ball. If you remember, he only had one clear-cut chance, which was towards the end of the match. I think that should have been the 78th or 79th minute, somewhere thereabout. When you have a player like Salah on the pitch, unfortunately, he still might not be playing well, but once he gets a chance, he might punish you. We saw what happened when he had a chance. There was panic in the Nigerian defense. The goalkeeper had to come out of his line to come and follow that chance. So over and above, you saw that that was one of the best things that they did actually to take Salah out of the game. Principally, it was because of the way that they set up. Remember what I said, they denied them the space, they pressed high, they cut off the supply lines to him, and it worked well for them. On the other side, there was also a lot of variation of play with the Nigerians. You saw that they dominated the possession a lot. There was a lot of passing, short passing, if you like. But then at times they mixed it up with a few diagonals and a few balls over the defense, not engaging the midfield. What that meant is that they became unpredictable, if you like. Unpredictability is actually very good quality to have, especially at a tournament of that level, because once you become too predictable, it becomes easier for them to know what you want to do. It becomes easier for them to know what to do, so that they deny you the opportunity to get your plans working or to get the chance to do the correct thing. And so that is one of the other things that the Nigerians did. Really, it was a tactical masterclass, if you like, because you couldn't recognize the Egyptian side, and you could tell that this is the Nigeria that we've always known over the years, and this is the Nigeria that is willing to play football once more. If you remember, in my pre-tournament thoughts, I actually said that they may not have made a lot of noise, in the build-up to the tournament. They are missing a number of key players like Victor Osimhen, Dennis, but at the end of the day, I said that they are Nigeria. They are a tournament team. They have the quality, and if they apply themselves, actually they could hit a lot of teams along the way. On the Egyptian side, I think the Egyptians were rather too slow yesterday. You need to move the ball quicker, especially when you're playing against a very high pressing team. They couldn't move the ball quicker. They couldn't, a few times they tried to play out from the back, but as soon as they breached the first line, then the first line of press from the Nigerians, as soon as they went into the second line, they couldn't. So they couldn't actually get it right even from their build-up zone, which tells you that there was a lot of pressure on them, and chiefly because they moved the ball too slowly. If they had been a bit quicker, I think they would have found a lot of joy getting into the midfield and maybe trying to trade the balls into the wide areas. Because remember, Nigeria were playing on a 4-4-2, which at times looked a bit too wide. Remember, like I said, Moses was on the other side, the other winger was on the other side, so there was a lot of space in the middle which they could have used, but they couldn't use that, chiefly because they moved the ball slowly. On the other side, I've already spoken about this. I think Mohamed Salah was isolated. Strangely enough, I know there are a few times that Jurgen Klopp will take him into the middle, especially when Liverpool try maybe to chase a particular game, but not from the start, which we saw yesterday. I found Carlos Queiroz' choice of playing him central through and through a bit strange, really, especially that he was isolated. One of the reasons why he was isolated was that they sat too deep. Now, when you sit too deep, it means that if your striker is up there playing as a lone striker and you are sitting too deep, there's a lot of space that is in between the line of defense and the line of attack and the midfield. Now, for you to get the ball onto the other side, most of the times you have to rely on the long ball, which unfortunately couldn't work yesterday. I think he was well polished. The other thing that you have to do if you have to get the ball to the strikers, that, like I said earlier, when you have to move the ball quicker, there has to be a lot of combination of play, and players must compress the pitch by moving up the pitch a bit higher, which unfortunately they did not do. So the moment they fail to do that, it means they are making it very difficult for their main striker to participate. A player like Salah, most of the time, thrives on a lot of space and getting behind the defensive line. Did his teammates or did the Egyptians set up to do that? Unfortunately, they didn't. The best way of getting the best out of your players is really looking at the system that best suits them. Looking at what the Egyptians did yesterday, unfortunately, they couldn't get that. They couldn't thread the balls behind the defense on the ground, which Salah thrives on. They couldn't get him into spaces where he could be 1v1 with the defenders. It couldn't work. Most of the time he had two central defenders on him. They couldn't get him into 1v1 situations. They couldn't use the overload and isolate principle yesterday. So it's hard to get the best out of the players yesterday. That's why even other players couldn't come to the party like Trezeguet. At the end of the day, the Egyptians really were not good enough on the day. I think they should be counting their lucky stars that they have to play Sudan and Guinea-Bissau in their last two games. Yes, there's no guarantee that they win them, but I think those two sides are tactically inferior to what the Nigerians offered, and that could be their point of joy. In summary, I think Austin Eguavoen did a good job for Nigeria yesterday. Remember, I said in my pre-tournament thoughts that this is a coach that is good enough. He's won it as a player. The last time he coached the Nigerians at the African Cup of Nations, they came out third. They won bronze, having come out of a group of death. If you remember, in 2006, the group that had Nigeria, it had Senegal, it had Ghana, it also had Zimbabwe. They came out of that group and almost went all the way. They finished up with bronze, which wasn't really bad. He's actually a very good coach. I'm surprised that he hasn't really got a lot of chances even outside Nigeria. Yes, there was a time that he went to there was that Black Leopards in South Africa and a few stints here and there, but really for someone of his quality, I think he should actually get more chances. Nigeria are actually lucky to have them. The other thing that I think we can learn from the Nigerians is that there's a lot of consistency in their selection. If you look at the back four that started yesterday, 3 of those players have played together for a long time now. Trostekong, Omero and Ola Aina on the other side. So that's some consistency. You had Ndidi in the midfield. Iheanacho, you had Moses on the other side. So there's a lot of consistency there. They're also relying on chemistry. These are players that have played together for a while, like I've said before. And so they're basically building on what they already have. And finally, I think the other thing is that they just went out there to express themselves. Look, at the end of the day, it's football. If you're going to make the most out of it, go and express yourself, use your strengths, and see what happens next. So yeah, I think in summary that's what I thought of yesterday's game. I hope to look at another game as the games go on. Thank you so much and cheers. Bye bye.